Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my July TBR. I should say that June has been a better reading month for me compared to May because I was able to read a bit more books compared to May. And my reading mood is also a bit changing because of the seasonal change. I felt a bit too lazy in the past couple of months and I'm trying to get out of that overall slump itself and try to read more. So I'm including 6 books inside this TBR and all of them are books which I'm very interested to read and some of them are also really huge books. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. First book in my TBR is an adult contemporary romance and it is Booklovers by Emily Henry. It released just this month and I ordered it the day it was released here in India. I did not pre-order it because the date got postponed 3 times and I did not want to get my order stuck. My plan was to read it in June itself, but because of various reasons I was not able to get onto it. So I'm definitely going to keep this as my first read in July because I'm so much excited to read this one. I've read both of Emily Henry's previous books before, which are Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation, and I've loved both of those books. Especially Beach Read is definitely one of my all-time favorite romance reads because I'm not that much of a romance reader. So in this book we follow our main character Nora, who's in the publishing industry, and she's had this dating record in which all of her previous boyfriends have had her as the last girlfriend before getting married. So she does not want to continue on with this pattern and she just wants to change it. During the same time, what happens is Nora's younger sister gives her this chance to take a vacation and go to the small town and just live there. The idea of Nora's sister is to just set up her with some guy there so that she can have a good life. But what happens when Nora goes to that town is that she keeps on bumping into her rival from the industry, who's Charlie. I've heard that this is even better than Beach Read from many people whom I trust when it comes to taking book recommendations, and I'm so much hyped for this because of that reason itself. The main thing which I loved about both the other books by Emily Henry was that the romance was really good. At the same time, the character work that she has done for both the main characters in those books were just awesome. I read People We Meet on Vacation just 2 months back and I was kind of in a reading slump then. That was the book which actually saved me from the reading slump. Moreover, this is also one of my anticipated releases for the year, so I'm definitely going to read it soon. I'm also planning to do a vlog in which I read various romance books. Let's just wait and see how it's going to work out. So yeah, Booklovers is the first book in my July TBR. The next book in my TBR is a classic mystery and it is The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which is the 5th book inside the Sherlock Holmes series. It's not just the 5th book but also the 3rd full-length novel inside the series itself. I've read the first 4 books inside the series, which are A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of the Four, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. I finished reading The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes just this month and I've also made a review for it. I'm not sure whether it is out by the time this video is out or not, but if it is, I'll try to link it down in the description so that you can check it out if you are interested. I also have a playlist for the Sherlock Holmes series and I've reviewed all the books that I've read so far in the series and I'm going to continue on with the other books also. Now this collection has only 4 full-length novels put together and I'm definitely going to read that full-length novel during this month. If I end up finishing it soon, I'll also try to continue on with the series, but I'm definitely interested in reading this because the premise of this novel compared to all the other novels in this bind-up is the one which intrigues me the most, and I've also watched this episode of Sherlock Holmes in the Sherlock Holmes show. I don't remember much from the show, but I'm very much interested to see how it goes because I like the way in which the author writes and the way in which he builds the mysteries really well. Moreover, I can say that Sherlock as well as Watson have become one of my most favorite friend duos that I've read so far in literature. Both of them were not that great characters who grew on me in the first 2 novels, but when I read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, they just got latched on to me really well because I started loving their friendship as well as both of them as individual characters also. Another thing which I want to say is that I'll be listening to the audiobook of this one and following on with the physical copy because I have the entire collection narrated by Stephen Fry with me and his narration is just awesome. So let's just wait and see how this is going to go. The next book is a Greek mythology retelling and it is The Song of Achilles by Madelline Miller. I've actually tried reading this book once before 2 years back as an audiobook and I got through 25% of the audiobook, but after that I was not able to continue on with it because it felt very sad for me and the narrator made it even more sad. I know that the book itself has a tragic ending and it is a sad story between the 2 characters, but I don't want to go to such an extent and get so much sad than the book would actually make me. Since I could not handle the audiobook for this one, I'm definitely going to read it as a physical copy this month. Another thing about this book which just intimidates me more is that I've not heard anyone talking negative about this book at all. Everyone has just praised it extremely. From my experience of listening to 25% of the audiobook, I'm just sure that the writing of the author is just gorgeous because the whole time I was listening to the audiobook, I was just awestruck by the way in which Madeline Miller has written it because the prose was just so gorgeous. At the same time, within that 25% itself, I got to know about both the main characters in this one pretty well because she was able to flesh out everything just perfectly as we needed it, not overdoing it or underdoing it in any way at all. I know that most of you guys have read it and also asked me to read it. So finally I'm going to read it now, and I planned it to read it in June itself because it's Pride month and it is also one of the most famous queer books out there. Again, because of various reasons and the fact that I've read so many big books in June, I was not able to pick this up, so I'm definitely going to read this in July. I think this will also be a part of the vlog which I talked about before, which will consist of some other romance books also, so let's just wait and see. So yeah, The Song of Achilles is very high on my TBR for July. Now we are moving on to the big books inside the TBR, and of these the first one is definitely a book which I've been having for almost 2 years now on my shelf, shelf, and this is the only book which I'm interested to read by this author, and it is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Many of you guys have asked me whether I've read Twilight or not. I've not read it so far, and I don't have any idea of reading it in the future also. I'm not going to say that I'll never read it because we cannot predict the future, right? If you ask me, I can say that I'm definitely sure that I'll not be reading Twilight for a probability of 95%, but apart from that, I cannot say anything. But I'm so much more interested in this one because the plot and premise of this book just sound so interesting, because it just feels very emotional and has a lot to do with the mind of the main character here. So this book is a dystopian in which an alien species has just taken over Earth, and the souls of the alien species have been housed inside the human bodies. So the human beings whom these creatures reside inside become the host, and our main character Melanie here has this kind of perseverance because of which she is not able to leave the memories and her body totally in control for this creature. So what happens is, when the creature tries to overcome her and use her body in its own way in order to do all its work, it is facing a lot of issues because of the fact that she has control of her body and mind also. At the same time, she is also trying to find her lover Jared, who's in hiding and has not been taken as a host by these creatures. Just because the creature is not able to totally overcome its host, it also decides to help her in finding him. I'm not sure whether I'm making complete sense while I'm explaining the plot of this book or not, so I'll just read out the blurb for you guys so that you get a clearer picture of what it is about. Melanie Strider refuses to fade away. The Earth has been invaded by a species that takes over the minds of the human hosts, and most of humanity has succumbed. Wanderer, the invading soul who has been given Melanie's body, knew about the challenges of living inside a human. The overwhelming emotions, the two vivid memories. But she did not expect that Melanie would refuse to relinquish possession of her mind. Melanie fills Wanderer's thoughts with visions of the man she loves, Jared, a human who still lives in hiding. Unable to separate herself from her body's desires, Wanderer yearns for a man she's never met. As outside forces make Wanderer and Melanie unwilling allies, they set off to search for the man they both love. That just sounds very much twisted and interesting for me, so I'm definitely going to try and finish reading this in July itself because it is very huge. Also, if any of you guys have read it before, please do let me know down in the comments how it is and what I can expect from it. So yeah, this is the next book in my TBR. The next book is the longest as well as I can say the most weird of all the books in my TBR, and it is Killing Commendatore by Haruki Murakami. I've read only one of his other full-length novels, and it is Kafka on the Shore. I already have a review of that one published in the channel, and I should say that I just loved the experience of reading that book. I cannot say that I loved everything about the book, but the experience of reading that one, the trance in which it put me the whole time I was reading it was excellent, and I just want to feel and consume more of it. So I'm definitely going to try and read most of his other novels also. I'm reading this next just because it is on my shelf, and here we follow a man who's just been left by his wife, and he's left in this abandoned building of an artist in a secluded mountain. And what happens when he notices a painting on one day is that weird stuff starts happening, and he just has to deal with it. I read the blurb of the book, but just like Kafka on the Shore, I was not able to give a cohesive description of what the book is about before reading it. So for this one also, I'm just going to read the synopsis for you guys from the book's cover so that it makes at least a little bit sense. In Killing Commendatore, a 30-something portrait painter in Tokyo is abandoned by his wife and finds himself holed up in the mountain home of a famous artist, Tomohiko Amada. When he discovers a strange painting in the attic, he unintentionally opens a circle of mysterious circumstances. To close it, he must complete a journey that involves a mysterious ringing bell, a 2-foot-high physical manifestation of an idea, a dapper businessman who lives across the valley, a precocious 13-year-old girl, a Nazi assassination attempt during World War II in Vienna, a pit in the woods behind the artist's home, and an underworld haunted by double metaphors. A tour de force of love and loneliness, war and art, as well as a loving homage to The Great Gatsby, Killing Commendatore is a stunning work of imagination from one of our greatest writers. So just like Kafka on the Shore, this one also sounds very confusing and interesting at the same time. It is also bigger in size compared to Kafka on the Shore, so let's just wait and see how this is going to go. The last book in this TBR is by an author from whom I want to read many more books from, and it is Desperation by Stephen King. I finished reading Cujo by Stephen King this month, and I'm also planning to finish Insomnia this month also. I should say that I have loved the experience of reading both of those books because they are very environmental and atmospheric in every way possible, and I'm expecting the same kind of writing from Stephen King in this one also. I can say that I'm more interested in his short-length novels like The Shining and Pet Sematary, which I have not read yet. I have a few of his big books on my shelf, so I'm planning to read them first and then move on to his other works so that I don't start hoarding the books because I don't have that much space left right now. Here we follow a town called Desperation, which is in the middle of this desert in Nevada, and it is also very close to this national highway, so that all the people who are heading towards that national highway trying to go to some destination have to pass through this place. It is a town that is almost abandoned, and there are not that many people who are residing there except for a few desert animals and this cop alone who's patrolling there each and every day. From the blurb of this book, I can say that there are many characters who are going to be involved in the story, and all of them are going to be traveling on that national highway trying to get to some place, but the blurb says that they are not going to reach their destination because they are going to be caught lot inside this town and they are going to understand the true meaning of what desperation means. I've not heard that much about Desperation as a book by Stephen King, but I definitely want to give this a try because it seems more dystopian compared to any of his other books that I've seen so far. I'm sure that he has a lot more works just like this one in his universe, and I want to try and read most of them in order to just understand this unique world that he has constructed for himself for all the stories that he's written. So let's wait and see how this is going to be as an experience for me. So yes guys, those are all the 6 books in my July TBR, and if you've read any of these books, please do let me know down below how they are and what I can expect from them. And also don't forget to leave your July TBR in the comments below because I'd like to know what you guys are planning to read. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.